Good morning and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace and I'm live here from Southern California. Today is a special day and I want to wish all the fathers out there, all the dads, a happy Father's Day. And I really hope that you're able to see your sons or daughters through this time of trouble. You know, it's really hard where you're at in life, and I care about you. I'm a loving man. I'm a father of 6 children. Been married 32 years. And I care about people. I care about you. And I want to help you. I, too, have been in CPS's hands. Their twisted minds. I've been fighting for 15 years against them. And it started with me back in, 2010 when I lost my job through no fault of my own. I had to deal with the economy at that time, and the state of California was going bankrupt, and they decided to withhold my contracts. I had all this work awarded to me in construction, roads and heavy highways. Anyway, the governor very nicely wrote me IOUs, like, we'll promise to do it, but we can't do it now. And of course, the banks were terrified back then in 2010. They didn't want to give out any credit lines or any help or anything. So unfortunately, I had to close my doors to general contracting and look for work elsewhere. But it's heaven forbid after that. I think I had a perfect storm brewing. I think something was out against me. Well, my faith in God has kept me alive. It's one thing you got to have faith. I know all of you want to get back your children. And you will, and you can. There's certain ways you have to know. You have to know that this entity, the child protection system, is not a fair entity. They've been around since the 1600s in colonial days. There was a case where they prosecuted a father back then. And they divided the history of CPS into 3 periods, from the 1600s to 1875. And why they picked 1875, I don't know. There was another case in that, but I can't remember what it was. But anyway, that time period was when the Wild West was going at its peak. The Native American Indians, the first immigrants to North America, were struggling because all the broken promises were not being kept, and they were sent off to reservations. They killed off their bison, their source of food and warmth, shelter, everything. They used a lot of the buffalo. But they, were to give up. Their children's hair was cut. They were told not to speak their language. They're told to not wear their clothing. They were told to assimilate into what the Americans called the American culture. But it's so sad is that everybody in this North America is American. If you're born here, if you're the first generation, you're American. Whether you're Indian, whether you're black, whether you're Chinese, no matter what you're from, you're an Irish person. I'm talking about the immigrants and Europeans. I mean, all the Europeans. You all are Americans when you're first generation. So, yes, the Native American Indians were the first immigrants. And they, too, are very, very important people. They deserve respect. And there's a thing called the ICWA, in Child Protection Services is supposed to protect American Indian children. It's called the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. It took them 100 years, over 100 years, to enact that the children would be protected. And so that's the history of CPS. You know, it goes from 1875 to 62, and why 62? I don't know about that. And then 62, the present. But in 1978, they had that act passed. And for all of you who may not know what that means, is that if you are of Indian blood, or your family has Indian blood, I mean, you're Indian blood, all you have to do is be registered or are registered with the 547 federal recognized tribes. And I'm talking about the Comanche, the Apache, the Seminole, there's the Crow, the Lakota Sioux, the Navajo. It goes on. The Chumash Indians in California, the Alaskan Eskimos, any of the Indian tribes out there. And why I talk a little bit about it is that my great-great-grandmother was a full-blooded Lakota Sioux. She's from the reservation called the Rosebud Reservation. So if you want to look at federal recognized tribes, you just look up Rosebud, Lakota Sioux, and you see they are recognized. Only trouble is the Indians never used to write or keep books or things. So I have a hard time finding her. I have her white man's name, but I don't have her Indian name. I have pictures of her and my grandfather. And my great-grandfather got pictures. He was a handsome-looking guy, very blonde, stocky. He's from he's from Bergen, Norway. And yes, he is a Viking. He traces his ancestors back to the 800s AD when the Vikings were rising to the top and so forth. So you can imagine a Lakota Sioux and a Viking and what my grandfather looked like and what I look like. Anyway, that didn't help me because I'm not registered in social services. The CPS things railroad me over anyway. They couldn't even recognize, even though I have a birth certificate, that I am the father of my 3 children. I have 6 children, by the way. 3 of them were abducted. They were trafficking into foster care. They were kidnapped. They were stolen. I don't know how else to explain it to you, but they were. It was terrible. And I hate to be talking this negative on Father's Day because we're supposed to love our children. Our children are supposed to love their fathers. You know, a father is a special kind of man. He's supposed to give them guidance and protect them and provide for the family. I've tried so hard to provide for my family. My family's always come first. I never ran away from my responsibilities. I've been a loving, very loving, giving father. And I'm struggling right now. It is hard for me, just like you all out there. I have some of the same woes you all have. I've been trying to find work again. I was working for a year and a half, about a year ago, a little over a year ago. I was working for about a year and a half. And it was great. And I got that job when I was in my 70s. But it gets harder when you get older in life. Physically, I'm okay. And I'm able to work and do a good job. And so all you fathers out there, I want you to have a special, relaxing day. And I'm glad you tuned in to me to this live podcast. I'm going to check to see if 2 of my regulars are here or come here, something like that. Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. Okay. Uh, uh, okay.
Say something to your audience.
All right. Uh, all right. I've tried to contact my co-host and see if they're coming on. But this podcast is live, and there's several ways you can interact with this podcast. One way is you can call in to my phone number. This is my office number, 626-698-0990. It's my work number. So you can call me at 626-698-0990. And I will be gladly more than happy to have you talk on the show about your CPS matter. You know, whether you have some questions, whether you have a case, whether you're calling about your friend or whatever. So all you do is call in to 626-698-0990. Be a live call. I'll put you on speakerphone, and the people in the room and myself can try to help you. We can try to help you. Um, Another way is to type in comments. Um, this is where, you found me on Facebook. I'm broadcast on YouTube, and I'm using the StreamYard application. The StreamYard application. And you type in your comment about your CPS question. I want to keep it to the child protection system. Anything that deals with protecting our children from neglect or abuse and family reunification and your case. So please show your name, city, state, or country and be complete with your CPS case. I have people that have talked from countries around the world. I have over 10 countries and talking to over 500 people throughout the United States and all the states, and they all have something in common. It seems like their CPS case is gone haywire. I've had very few success stories that have said that they fought CPS and won. I have had success stories where people have used the information I've shared with them, and they've called back and said, "What you said, we did, and we got our children back. And thank you." So I know that there's some things I can offer. I'm not an attorney, but I can help you out with my experience and experience of others. And people in this room will help you out too. So either call in or type in a comment. Now, a third way is that you can um, schedule to be my guest. Now, you may not want to talk this time, and you may want to talk a later date about your case. All you need to do is contact my show producer, Grace, and send her an email. Whoops. Send her an email. And her email is grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's grace at vincentwdavis.com. And she will gladly put you on one of my 14 shows. Now, I'm on 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday, twice a day, once at 10 o'clock in the morning for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time, except Sunday. This morning, as you know, I came on at 8. So on Sunday only, I'm on a couple hours early. But normally, I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. I'm on again at night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for an hour. So I'm on twice a day, and you're more than welcome to come back each time. I love to hear from you. I love to hear from you. So that would be great. That would be great. So that's a third way. Either comment, schedule appointment, or you can call. And I'm going to leave my work number up there on the screen. Now, that work number is only good between the hours that I'm on. So if you call, otherwise, I won't see it until my next show time because I'm only allowed to use that number during the hours that I work. So right now it's on the screen at 626-698-0990, and you're welcome the call in. The phone is set up to go. Now, it's early in the morning. I know it's Father's Day. There may not be much people, but I have about 5 people right now listening. And I welcome you 5. And happy Father's Day to you out there. Suddenly 2 leave. It's okay. It's this matter can be very boring and very tiresome and very hurtful to you. But CPS is a rogue agency that's gone bad. They're worse than the IRS. They're probably the number one agency in the world that doesn't have good things to say about them. There's so many stories of corruptness with CPS. I mean, they are not transparent. They don't like you. They don't like families. They certainly don't want to put you back together. They don't believe in reunification. And if you want some proof they don't like you, I can tell you. I can tell you one of the biggest things I heard is horrible. There was 8 social workers in Prescott, Arizona that had over 25 years of experience of helping out families with children. But what these 8 did, and that was a whole the social caseworker except for one and the director, but these 8 ladies, what they did is they very proudly made these pink t-shirts. Now, pink's a nice color. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against pink. But they wrote a message on the front and back of their t-shirts, which to me makes my blood curl. This is the attitude that 99.99.99% of the social workers have. And they wrote on the front of their t-shirt, professional kidnappers. Now think about that. Professional kidnappers. And on the back, they write, do you know where your children are? Implying that they're out there like ambulance drivers chasing down children. You know, that's the attitude of Prescott, Arizona. It may not be the attitude of the other places here, but so far, 99.99.99.99 of the people that talk on here have said nothing but negatives about social work. I was very fortunate to have one of you social workers that listens because I know you guys are in here listening. And she called in for 40 minutes. Her name was Carol. I won't give her last name. And she was in Maryland. And she talked, and she's very professional. She had a college degree in clinical psychology, which I think is good. And she said that the state of Maryland, put her through 6 months of additional training, which was really great. That's the first time I heard. My social worker was just the opposite. She had no college degree. She was looking for work. She was in her early 20s. She was unmarried. She had no experience about a family. She didn't have brothers and sisters growing up. So I don't know, how she'd be an expert on that, but she was our social worker. And she's assigned, she wasn't an intake social workers. The problem is there are a group of people and they try to mislead you and lie to you and bring you up and make promises. There's the initial social workers, then the intake, and then your social worker. But every time we met with her, which is usually weekly, she would talk about her new Gucci purse, her BMW car, her eyelashes, her eye makeup, her accessories, and her clothing. All she could think about was money. And yes, she was getting bonuses. Because what the child protection system was doing, and it's called the Child Protection Service in California, CPS earns over 80 billion, or gets, I shouldn't say earn, but gets $80 billion a year from the federal government. It's dispersed to the states, and the states in turn disperse it to the counties. And they're only audited once a year. It isn't ongoing. There's nobody, they're not even transparent. No one supervises them. There's no board of supervisors or board of directors or anything in place to monitor or to resolve complaints or do anything with social. They're allowed as a rogue agency to go wild, and they do go wild. All you have to think about is the pink ladies wearing those shirts in public. By the way, they were fired, and it hurt the program there because there's only one social worker left, and the director was fired. That was appalled in there. And if you need a job, there's an opening in Prescott, Arizona for a social worker in CPS. It's a terrible job. I know that they see a lot of abuse and neglect of children, but there's a lot of good parents that maybe have had some hiccups or going through some financial issues or relation issues. There's the trouble with domestic violence, and there's trouble with drugs, and there's trouble with a lot of things misguided because you're not born with a handbook. You don't know everything there is about how to work with CPS or how to raise a child or even how to date. You learn those things in school, in high school. We just had a person write the first comment. Their name is Fredette. Just wanted to say, do research and don't be afraid. Keep a lot of what you learn to yourself. Use bits and pieces. Feel it out. When you start to be calm and confident, 75% of the time they become afraid. Well, those are interesting comment there, Fredette. And I think that you're talking about CPS. What city and state or country are you from? I'm trying to get an idea where you are. So if you can tell me your city or state or what country you're from, that'd be much appreciated. Anyway, welcome. And if you have a question, I'll try to answer it. So anyway, you have this rogue agency. I don't know how to describe it. Give you a picture of them. They're bad. They're bad. Some are being arrested. Some are being investigated. I know in Richmond, Kentucky, one of our regular people in the room says that over $800,000 has gone unaccounted for, meaning the agency can't prove where the money was spent or how it was spent. $800,000. I know how it's being spent. Every social worker is given a bonus. Given a bonus. It's a money game to them. The reason why they take your child, and they'll take your child whether you're in imminent danger or not, by the way. They take your child 99% of the time, whether your child is in danger or not, is because they need the money. In order to get the money, they have to open up a case. and then they report it to the state. It's real important that your case is reported to the state. If I was you, I would get the number of your case, contact the state, and see if your case is on file there. Because if it's not, I don't know how they're not getting the money, but you don't have a case with CPS. When the call is made, see how it starts? It starts with people calling in. And there's two types of people. There's your professional people and your lay people. The professional people are people that do a job they're required by law to report child abuse or child neglect. And it'd be like doctors, teachers, nurses, policemen, firemen, so counselors, anybody that works with children required by law to report neglect or abuse. The second kind of person is a lay person, and that's the one that I think is being abused a lot. And they can be your family, friends, relatives, in-laws, cousins, whatever. It could be a spouse. What they do, these lay people, is they call in and report something wrong with you do with your children. Now, a lot of times it's retaliation against a neighbor. They don't like the neighbor's dog barking. They don't like their yard overgrowing, or whatever the case would be. A neighbor will call in and make up some fictitious story. Also, your spouse will try to alienate you from the children. And that's a no-no. You're not supposed to use CPS like that. And that was in my case. You're probably wondering what got me trapped. Well, for 5 years, when I lost my job, I had my in-laws, which I did not know, make false claims into CPS, saying things like my children weren't in school. We did not bathe them. We did not have them proper clothing. Let me see, what else? They were saying some ridiculous. I wasn't paying the utilities. I wasn't feeding them. Well, for 5 years, I was able to convince the social workers who came out to visit that was not true. I showed them their grade reports. They're getting A's and B's, mostly A's. They're in a program called STEM, where they take one science class, one technology class, one engineering class, one math class. So they're in the upper honors accelerated program of school. They're going to fine schools, by the way. Their elementary school and middle school was public, but when they came to high school, it was private. It was a private high school because I wanted them to have the best of education that could be. And also, I wanted my boys to experience a sport that I love, football. And my son, my youngest, made the team, and for 4 years, he played football. And not only that, this school or this team won 2 national championships, 2 state championships. They win everything. They only had, in his years there, I think he had a total of 3 losses in 4 years. Hi, Faye. Welcome. And wish me a happy Father's Day, Faye. I know you probably don't know it, but today is Father's Day, and this dad is so happy that you're in my room, Faye. So happy you're in my room. Faye is from Richmond, Kentucky, and she has shared a lot of her life. She's gone through some really troubled times. I don't know of anybody. I mean, she was brought into the foster care 4 or 5 times, and she was abused. She was molested. And then when she grows up and she has children, the child protection system still prosecutes her. She's been harassed by the local police. It's gotten so bad with the police in Richmond, Kentucky. And I'm sorry to say that. It's really troublesome. But she's here to help you all. She has some great ideas, great topics. And I welcome you, Faye. Thank you for being here, and thank you for spending Father's Day with me. This is nice. Fredette, I still don't know where you are. I don't want to guess, but it would really be helpful. If you don't want to say where you are, it's okay. And if you don't want to talk any further, that's okay too. I'm just glad that you wrote some words of wisdom and stuff. So, with that being said, I I'm here to help you and stuff. And so I'm talking to you about what kind of place the child protection system is. And they're so corrupt. I mean, just the other day, I was sent a copy of what was just put out in the local news. It was a copy of an ad of 1848. Yes, 1848. And it said on the ad, "Black children for sale." And it was a CPS thing, a child protection system thing. And a worker from Chicago, Illinois, a social worker, posted it thinking that it's funny. Now, I got news for you. The pink ladies are not funny. The person that posted an ad is not funny. Yes, in the mid 1800s, we had slavery in the United States. We had a culture of individuals that maybe weren't, they were good in character, good in their own customs, but weren't strong to fight the Europeans that had advanced weaponry. And they were rounded up and carted off and made a lucrative business as slaves, picking cotton in the South, raising the plantation families and doing the farm work. Anyway, that ad in 1848 was atrocious, and to see it resurface again, it's sad. You can type in, it'll come up. It'll come up. Also, every day you're seeing social workers being prosecuted. So, yes, eventually they will get caught. But the sad part is there doesn't seem too much education of social workers. They lack. They lack so much there. Oh, you're from Colorado. Well, welcome, Colorado. You're Tina from Colorado. And Tina is saying, I pray for y'all. During the holidays, they dive in to make sure they get that Christmas bonus. That was just my observation and feeling. We're blessed that mine is home towards. Well, I'm glad your children are home, and thank you for being in my room, Tina from Colorado. And that's a beautiful state, Colorado. It's mountains and prettiness. I mean, there's no question that Colorado is a beautiful state. Um, but anyway, I have Tina and Faye in the room, and I appreciate you all there. And so um, I want you to know that I've come up with 4 rules, or actually 3 rules. Excuse me, I should have 4, but I have 3 rules that will help you with your case. And these 3 rules are 3 things that I didn't do that I should have done. Because when you're dealing with this agency as bad as they are, you need to get help because you need to learn. And the internet is a gold mine of knowledge that will help you with your CPS case. You can type in and how you phrase your questions, you find information. All the states produce books and information about dependency court, family dependency court, how your case is done. There's a flow chart so you know what steps they go through. I was talking earlier about reporting CPS neglect and abuse and how much lay people. Well, it was in my case. My in-laws were terrible. And as I told you, I would meet with them and show them. I showed them the grade reports. I showed them how they're in scouting. Both my boys were proud Boy Scouts of America. I know the program has changed. It's called Scouting because I've allowed girls in there, which I guess is different. They have made some changes to the Scouting program. So now it's just called Scouters, Scouts of America. The Girl Scouts are still Girl Scouts. They still do things as girls. I don't think the boys are allowed to join the Girl Scouts. But I can understand later on when the girls are in their teenage years, want to be around boys and stuff. And they have a program for that. It's called Explorers. And Explorers are both boys and girls. It's a part of the scouting program. But instead, they insisted that girls could join Cub Scouts and be in the Cub Scout program as early as the Tigers. And I guess in public schools, girls and boys are put together. In preppy K, I know in daycare, boys and girls are together and stuff. So, I know the pros and cons or whatever it is, but one thing that was nice when you're in Boy Scouts, you do things that boys do. And things that girls do may be different. Girls love a lot of things that boys do. But anyway, I'd show these social workers how my kids were involved. They had um, they've done, as I say, Boy Scouts. They also did sports, and it was AYSO soccer. I was on a limited budget, and that's pretty much. I wanted to play football, but they couldn't do that till they got to high school. And it's a contact sport, and I don't know, young kids hitting each other in shoulder pads and helmets at age 8, 7, 6. There's been a lot of concussions and stuff. So there's pros and cons about boys playing, and yes, girls do play football. And it's it's okay. I think it's a novelty, just like in car racing. There were girls that did car racing, and it lasted for a bit, but now it's gone by the wayside. I guess there's few girls left. There's still car racing, but anyway, I had my kids involved in a lot of things. We went to teacher meetings, went to open house, we went to the activities, the carnivals, the plays they'd be in. So we were very active with our kids. So this report's coming in that the in-laws were reporting that we weren't taking care of kids, not involved and stuff. They're always fully clothed. The social workers could see that. They could see the rooms were clean. They saw the house was clean. They saw that we had food in the cupboards and refrigerators. So all the knowledge that the lay people were saying, for 5 years they couldn't prove anything. Well, you wonder how they did or tricked me. They actually was used deception. I guess the social workers got tired of the complaints, and so they enlisted the help of a detective, a police detective in my neighborhood. And my police department isn't all that great. I'm sorry to tell you that they try to do their job, but I don't know about their people skills. I don't know how they handle crowds. We've had a lot of riots here and so forth. We're a beach community, and so we've had some riots during beach events and so forth. And we're a good community and so forth, but the police are bad. I have to give them a bad rating. It's so bad right now that the police department has had to close its doors because there are 30 people short. We're talking about this world where everybody's got jobs, and here's a police department, a good police department. I was surprised if people wouldn't want to work and they pay good, but they're 30 people short. So you go down for the help of the police department, such as the case when my car was stolen, and there's no one around. And I had to pay close to over $600 to get my car back. And it's money I don't have. It was money I don't have. And I had to deal with people that always talked about money. And that's what CPS is. It's all about money. They want money. In order to feed their money, they have to do these crazy things. So Tina now has said, then before they closed the case, they tried to bring in some man to take my granddaughter to the playground. Okay, so you are a grandmother. And for ice cream, I looked up what he is called, and he be their voice. I said, no, it could be a CASA. They have things called omnibus and CASA people. They're supposed to be an independent individual that helps out a kid, but they don't need it. They don't need it. Tina further says, I'm not going to let unknown man take my granddaughter anywhere. I stood my ground on that one. I was thankful my granddaughter was already home before their last attempt. Yes, you did a good thing, Tina. You were definitely good. And thank you for the happy Father's Day. And happy Father's Day to all the single mothers, too, yeah? There are a lot of mothers out there playing both father and mother, and I know there's a lot of single. And it's sad because fathers should be involved with their children. I mean, there's so many cases I hear where mothers have called in here and said, I have 5 biological fathers, and not one of the 5 is helping out with child support or even interested in seeing the kids. Yes, we all tendency to make mistakes, and getting pregnant is still easy to do. I don't know if it's the time of the moment or wherever it is that we don't think about it, but all you fathers out there should be trying to help out your children. And if you have a child, you both work out a solution. But the best parents in the world, studies have shown, are the biological father and biological mother to raise the children. So, you know, it was the detective that they hired in my case that tricked me to follow him home. And when I got home to my house, there was like 9 people standing around. I said, why does it take 9 people to investigate a case? What have I done? Is my house burnt down? Did it get burglarized? I live in a private community with CCNRs. Those are rules and regulations that you have to go by. You can't put up purple curtains. You can't, if your rain gutter is off 1/8 of an inch, they're going to complain. So believe me, and my house is secure. It had a front gate, and like a fool, I let them in. And I did not know that letting them in was a big mistake. And you probably wonder what was in the house. Well, there was 5 firemen, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, the detective, and 2 code enforcement officers. And so they come in my home with their combat boots, trampling dirt and mud, because we have a rule you don't wear shoes in the home. And you don't step on your white furniture with combat boots and leave your footprints. On top of that, the weight on the furniture, because I had bamboo furniture, it broke. Did they care about it? No, they were amazed at the home. I had a beautiful 2-story home, recently built with all the state of the art, high vaulted ceilings, double doors to the master bedroom. Each child had their own room, each child had their bathroom. And I had walk in closets, a jacuzzi. I had a yard in the back that had a rock pool that was sloping in that you could walk in. It had a hidden jacuzzi in the grotto. It had a tropical garden in the back. It had an English style garden on the side with eating areas and so forth. And, my house was big and as well safe. They had a refrigerator, and they saw the refrigerator stocked with food. They see an eating place and stuff like that. The problem is that unfortunately, in my perfect storm, my parents were dying. I mean, people don't live forever. So my mom and dad asked me if I could take their belongings. And they had a huge home, a 4,000 square foot home, and they wanted to sell their home. And they wanted to give their belongings to the loved ones, their family and friends and stuff. So me and my youngest daughter, that was kidnapped by CPS, went up for a weekend and loaded everything into a U-Haul and brought it home. I wasn't working at the time, so I couldn't pay professional movers to pack it up and put it in storage. I wish I did have the money to do that. But that's more than $20,000, and I don't have that kind of money. And I was struggling, I mean, when you don't work and you elevate your lifestyle to live on the income you're making, and suddenly the income stops. It is terrible. I mean, I wasn't able to pay my mortgage. I was I had to get food stamps to get food. Um, Unfortunately, I tried to seek out to get help. People at age 65 weren't helping me. I'm 74 now, and that may seem old. Yeah, I see a lot of people 74. They look old, but I don't feel old. I don't look old, and I can still work. I can still work. I mean, I can run circles around you. The other day, um, hold on a second. Okay. Uh, my battery's running low and my plug fell out. The other day, when my car got stolen, I had to ride my bike to find out where it was at. I had to go to the police station that wasn't working. I had to talk through a phone and go to the yard, go to the grocery store. I rode a bike 20 some miles. I haven't ridden a bike in 20 years or something like that. So, what does it tell you? I can still walk. And yes, I can still ride a surfboard or a skateboard. You ever see a 74-year-old scoot on a skateboard in a back alley? Well, that's I did all my life, so it's natural. The bicycle was interesting. At first, it was wobbly, but after the first mile or two, I started getting stronger and stronger, and I was able to go up the years. The bike I was using with my sons, and I had a helmet on, and I wanted to protect my head because of my age. You got to be careful. I've already had a couple falls, and you get hurt, so you got to protect yourself. You got to think twice. But anyway, these social workers are going through my house with a fine tooth comb, and the only thing they came up with after measuring the distance of the smoke alarm, making sure it's operational, making sure the fire extinguishers were operational, make sure, I guess there's all this fire stuff that they were trying to catch me on. And code enforcement was so funny. Well, your bolts on your gate need tightening. Now, can you imagine living in a city where they're going to use taxpayer dollars to have a code enforcement person come out and check the bolts on your gate? Oh, they also said your yard is a little shaggy. It needs trimming. Well, I couldn't afford my landscaper, and I had a big yard. You know what it is to take care of an English garden or a tropical garden? I mean, I had a tropical garden in the back. I had banana trees. I had my fruit trees. I had tomato vines. I mean, it was, oh, whatever. I'm sitting here really ridiculous. Good morning, Miss Cretina Renoza. And you have a question about paying attorney Vince Davis to file a grievance that would be stemmed along from 1975 Riverside, California. Bob, you think he would consider that? Yes, he would. Vincent W. Davis, for some of you that don't know, is the one that sponsors this show. He is a family dependency lawyer of 35 years. He has fought CPS. He has gotten children back. He knows all about dependency court. He's a trial attorney. And he's one of the nicest people around. He will talk to you. His consultant fee, by the way, Miss Cretina, is that he charges only $60 for 30 minutes. That's $2 a minute. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes. If you want to talk longer, he has his fee. But all you need to do is to call in. Let me get his number up here, please. Hold on a second. I don't know when it used to be on here. If you want to contact Mr. Vince W. Davis, it's at 888-888-6582. And you want to tell the office when you call in that you want a consultation with Mr. Davis and that Bob Pace sent you. It's very important you use my name. Bob Pace sent you. And he will gladly talk to you for $60 for 30 minutes. And he will tell you um, he will tell you whether or not, let me get your case back up, that you can file a grievance. Now, he does do civil lawsuits against CPS. It all depends on your case and how much you charge. Now, Christina, you're from Riverside, California, so that's good. And Christina says, it's simple. If he says, yes, I have the document. I want sworn as a grievance. Thank you. He will talk to you about it. He will do it. He's in Southern California, so that is good. Now, Fredette said something else. Why don't they just come up with the girls' football teams? Well, I got news for you. Just last year, the California Interscholastic Federation, the CIF, has now instituted girls' football in high schools. It's flag football, it's a start, but they have football teams at my son's school. I watched the games last year. It's all over California and spread across the country. Flag football has now become a varsity letter sport. You can earn a letter. So they do have flag football. Now, Tina further says from Colorado, parent rights were taken years ago because there weren't enough CPS workers, so they say. Well, I don't think there's any qualified CPS workers anymore. And you said good luck, everyone. I'm trying to understand your message, Tina. You're a grandmother, and your grandson, I know, was taken in CPS. Now, back to Christina Renzo. You sent it to Riverside. They're looking at it. Okay. I told him it's because I was wrongly diagnosed as a 601, ruined my life, causing domino effect. Well, I know from civil lawsuit you can if they violated your constitutional rights or violated your civil rights, you have a good case for civil lawsuit. My daughter, by the way, I've talked to her young daughter that helped with my parents' furniture. At age 12, was told by the social worker, this great social worker, that you're going to divorce your parents, you're going to change your name, you're going to seal your birth certificate so that you look like you were never born by us, and you're going to be adopted in foster care. Well, sadly to say, she followed the direction of the social worker. She was so confused. Social workers are corrupt. And the reason why the social worker did that is that she told us as parents, I'm going to get you guys. Because she was caught lying under oath in court. And that way I could sue her. But I have to come up with $50,000 to sue her. And I just don't. I sold my home. I sold my $2 million home because I needed the money to fight CPS. CPS took my home that I worked 40 years for. 40 years for. And my kids had to suffer 9 and 12 and 15 for 3 years. My son turned 18, he came home. My young son at 9 came home at 12. And my daughter, who was 12 at the time, never came home because she divorced us. She changed her name. She sealed her birth certificate. And she moved in with the foster care parents that later she left because she was molested. That's how CPS protects your kids. There's so much badness that goes on with CPS. I can go on and on and on. And maybe this is the day of Father's Day to talk negative about CPS when we should be talking positive. And I haven't talked about my rules yet, and I have only about 5 minutes left. But I want to know that if there's anything else you can help me, ask away. I will help you. I want to thank Christina Reynosa from Riverside, California for commenting. I want to thank Fredette, who is Tina, a grandparent from Colorado, who is talking about a lot of different things. I want to thank you. Of course, there's Faye. I want to thank you, Faye, and you a happy Father's Day because I know you've been both the mother and the father of your children, Faye. I know that. And I want to thank you all for making a part of How to Fight CPS. Just real quickly, I'd like to tell you about the 3 rules. Rule 1, you need to find an attorney. And Vincent Davis is that attorney. Now, whether you hire him or not, at least talk to him for 30 minutes. It's only $60. You call in 888-888-6582, or you can actually sign up because I have a banner at the bottom. You just contact him at Calendly, CALENDLY.com/law office of VWD /Bob Pace, and I'll get you right to his page to do it there. And the reason why I'm saying you need an attorney, you're like doing heart surgery. CPS is heart surgery, and you need a real doctor. When you yourself, a layperson, open your chest, will you get a plumber or a mechanic to open your chest? No. You when you get your neighbor to open your chest. You're going to get a professional doctor. That's why you need an attorney. That's why you need an attorney. And you need to, and if you can't afford one, understand. And by the way, the court-appointed attorneys are worthless. Their caseload is 30. They don't know about dependency court. They won't fight for you. They're going to look for the easy way out. They're friends of the court anyway. It's a waste of time. But you want an attorney. An easy way to do it, for example, you say find in Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, a pro bono, which means attorney for not for hired, a pro bono family dependency attorney. That's all you have to type in. You'll get a list of 10 names. Call them. Make sure that they're in business. Ask them, do they fight CPS? Have they fought CPS in a civil lawsuit? Are they for free? Are they pro bono? Those are important questions. If the answer is yes, then you got a potential candidate. Then you narrow it down to 4, add Vincent Davis as 5, and have consultations with those 5 attorneys. Then make a decision. You'll get an attorney. It takes a lot of hard work, but that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that you need to keep track of your paperwork. I don't know. I did not do that, and you're going to forget it in 9 months. You need to get a notebook, get a 6-inch thick 3-ring notebook, stuff it full of college rule notebook paper, and on the paper, you're going to divide it by getting some subject tabs, and the first subject you want to put is the incidents. You write down the date and the time of the incident and the place and the people involved. So that way you have the first line. The next line, you write down what the incident is about. The third line, you write the outcome. If the outcome isn't available, you can write it down 6 months from now. And then you skip a couple lines and you do the next incident and the next incident. And anything related to your children's case, whether with the police, whether with the social workers, whether whatever. But you do that. That is the most important information because 9 months you can refer to it. Use highlighters, yellow markers, and pink markers. That'll help you go through it. You can do other tabs. You can put all your classes that you finished, your parenting classes, your programs, your anger management programs, your drug rehab programs. You can put down all your drug testing results. You can put down all your psychiatrist meetings and so forth, all the documentation. That's your next tab. Another tab is your info tab and so forth. Your info tab can be places, phone numbers, and links to websites. So you have it all in there. Put your court papers in there. And if you don't have your court papers, ask the court clerk. She'll provide you. And if you're low income, they'll provide you free of charge. And lastly, the last rule is that don't allow social workers in your home. Say no to them. Say no to them. They need a court order, a warrant to get in your home. And the same goes for policemen. Don't let them take your children. They need a court warrant. They have to be in extreme danger. They have to be in extreme danger. 99% of the time they take them if they're not in extreme danger. Also, watch out with medical trafficking. medical trafficking. They will try to take your children at the hospital, whether you're having a baby or you're taking your child to see if they get better. Anyway, that's quickly my 3 rules. And I tried to digress and hopefully answers all your questions. And again, I want to thank you all for listening. And I'll be on again tonight on Father's Day. Tonight, you can say Happy Father's Day again to me tonight. I'll be on at 7 o'clock tonight. I mean, twice on Father's Day, you get to have me. So I love to have you. I love all your followers. And God bless you all. And this is Bob Pace signing out. I'll see you